Hello, and welcome back to Bitcoin News Weekly Live. Paper Bitcoin summer kicked off with fireworks. Dozens and soon hundreds of companies raced to unveil Bitcoin Treasury strategies. Their stocks went vertical, some doubling, others soaring hundreds of percents in just days. But now, the heat is fading. Metaplanet, Sequans, SmarterWeb, all down between 55 to 80%. The dog days of summer have arrived, and the shine is wearing off fast. But enter Michael Saylor. MicroStrategy's Q2 earnings were hyped as the most important event in strategy history. Saylor delivered a jaw-dropping 35,000 plus percent earnings per share beat. In addition, he released new guidance promising to slash ATM share dilution when the stock trades below 2.5's net asset value. But markets were not impressed. The next day, strategy dropped 8%. Bitcoin slipped to $112,000 over the weekend on tariff talk and bad job numbers. But now, this morning, Bitcoin's bouncing, 114,000 and climbing, completing a textbook breakout, retest, rebound. But August is no joke. Historically, it's Bitcoin's toughest month. So with corporate treasuries bleeding, Saylor's magic wearing thin, and the calendar working against us, where does Bitcoin go from here? We are here today to break it all down, my friends. I'm very grateful to be joined by Jordan Walker. Jordan, how are you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm very good. Very good. Excited to be on and go through all the news, everything that's happening, because there's so much.
There's so much. Yes. So you are calling in from the UK, a country, our close cousins, of course, over here in America, but quite the different situation when it comes to Bitcoin. So you are in charge of the Bitcoin Collective, but you are also part of the UK Bitcoin Policy Group, correct? So walk us through what you do over there in the UK in terms of Bitcoin and what the scene is like.
Yeah, for anyone that's seen the advert that Coinbase just put out, it's not too far off that. There's been a lot of people resonating with it, and yeah, it's difficult watching from the UK. Like I'm sitting in London currently and watching everything that's happening in the US and all the positivity around Bitcoin. And then in the UK, there is still a lot of positivity. Don't get me wrong, but just not quite the same level, especially when you're looking at government level and institutional level as well. So yeah, it's I find myself looking over to the pond and over the pond to America and almost looking at what will happen in the future in the UK, because we tend to follow suit, but just by quite a few years behind you.
And when it comes to policy, what's your specific role? How are you helping out to get the people over in Parliament to learn about Bitcoin?
Yeah, so there's a brilliant group that is run by Susie and Freddie here in the UK called Bitcoin Policy UK, and I'm an advisor to them, and they are honestly doing fantastic work and being a spokespeople for the community here when it comes to policy side of things. So Freddie's writing back in consultations and really fighting back on that side of things. And there is a lot to be done. And I think there's a lot of education to be done as well. So on the policy side of things, they're fantastic doing all of that. And then with my company, the Bitcoin Collective, we focus on businesses and helping businesses get a Bitcoin strategy in place. Because we're seeing this corporate, as you opened up, we're seeing this corporate playbook just going exponential. And so many public companies now looking to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet and accumulate it. But what we're concentrating on is private companies and the smaller size companies that aren't public. And how can they follow a similar playbook? Because they should be, and I believe every business should have a Bitcoin strategy.
And are these private companies showing interest in Bitcoin? Are you having your phone ring off the hook?
So believe it or not, yeah, just because the situation in the UK, so there's a lot more interest in it. Like, we're very surprised in how many businesses have come forward and said we would like to explore this, but we're also like really relieved to see that there's a lot of businesses that have come forward and said we actually hold Bitcoin on our balance sheet already. So this has been we didn't expect quite so many companies to be saying that and coming forward and saying that they've been doing it for numbers of years. So we're very surprised with that, but gladly surprised. And then it's just also helping these other companies. Is it right for them to be doing it, and what should they be doing? Because when we talk about strategy, it's not just holding it on your balance sheet. With these companies, they can be accepting it as a form of payment, potentially paying their staff in it as well. So there's so many opportunities, and it's really interesting to see the array of companies coming forward, from small companies up to top tier sports teams. So there's a wide range and all different needs as well. So it's super interesting.
Very cool. Wow. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, you find it when you need it, right? And it seems like UK is going through some things right now. And one thing that really puts that on display is this new Coinbase ad. So I'd love to play it for our audience so they can get a feel for it. Because also the big news that just came out this morning is that this ad came out over the weekend, and now it is officially banned by UK TV stations. So it's having a bit of a Streisand effect. The more you try to hide something, the bigger it becomes. And so let's take a look at this and see what Coinbase did here.
We ain't got no troubles, no reason to complain. Cause here in great old Britain, we just love it when it rains.
Morning.
We're cozy here at home, even though it's not our own. But wait a few more years and who can say? Everything is just fine. Everything is grand. Your life can get no better when you're living by the letter in this pleasant land.
Oh, and just pause there. But I mean, I think you get the feel for the ad with just that, right? So yeah, I mean, it's talking about the energy situation, the heat situation. The town looks in a bit of disrepair there, but yes, I mean, it's when humans only react when things don't go well, right? And people are looking for solutions, and hopefully they realize that Bitcoin, this decentralized, censorship resistant money, is an answer to a lot of the problems that we are facing in this fiat world. So yeah, just any quick closing thoughts on that ad right there before we move on?
Yeah, it's super interesting. I've had quite a few friends reach out to me over the past few days, and I didn't realize that this advert is actually part of a bigger campaign. And so if you go on the London Tube or Transport, there's a lot of adverts around this campaign from Coinbase. So it's really interesting how hard that they've gone to push this message. And we will see what comes of it, because as you said, it's already not been allowed to air on TV, which kind of makes sense. With the way that it's done and the way that the UK is kind of going in terms of censorship as well.
Yeah. And I mean, UK, London is what, a top 2 financial capital of the world, right? And so it makes sense that Coinbase wants to go in there and plant their flag and try to get all the gains that they just saw in America over the last 2 years or so, right? So they're going in hard, and hopefully this forces the politicians to answer and give more airtime to Bitcoin itself. But yes, we are here today to break down our newsletter. Bitcoin News Weekly comes out every Monday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern, straight into your inbox to break down the biggest stories in Bitcoin, save you hours and hours of scrolling on X like I am forced to do on a daily basis. But I love it. It's my job. But I also love to distill it all down, put it into an easy to read format, and give it right to you for free. So yes, we are here today, and our headline title is Strategy Breaks Records while BTC breaks down. Strategy beats EPS estimates by over 35,000%, but Bitcoin plunges as tariff tensions flare and war talk heats up. So yes, you can go to weekly.bitcoinnews.com or just go to bitcoinnews.com and scroll down to the bottom and subscribe. You'll get right into our newsletter very easily. And as we do, we like to kick off. Hey, look at us. We like to kick off with the adoption section. So this week's adoption section focused heavily on the little city of Lugano, Switzerland. Have you been there, Jordan? Have you been to Lugano?
I've not, but it's on my list to go. I would love to go to the conference there. Have you been?
No, I have not. This fall, I know that there's going to be a big event there in, I think, late October. But yes, it does seem as if it is the Bitcoin capital of Europe in many regards. I mean, I know Germany has a strong scene over there, but Lugano has a lot of corporate interests and a lot of businesses that accept Bitcoin, which is kind of rare to see in a fully developed European city, to see all these Bitcoin accepted here signs. But they also, of course, have a strong Tether influence, and they have the Plan B Summer School. So let's kick off with this. 8 Salvadoran students graduated from the Plan B Summer School in Lugano, Switzerland, an intensive 1-week Bitcoin strategy bootcamp for the top 21 candidates selected from over 300 applicants. So they've got this great Bitcoin education program going over there, Plan B Network. And so you head over there, you have to apply. Over 300 people applied, only 21 got in, but 8 of them were from El Salvador, so over a third. What kind of things did they cover? Well, of course, they have Giacomo, legend himself, as one of the main teachers. And I mean, they go over everything when it comes to running a Bitcoin business, Bitcoin Treasury, I'm sure, how to accept Bitcoin, how to pay in Bitcoin. And it's a really cool program that they have there. If you are in business yourself, I highly recommend you apply for this program. I'm sure they do that. I think they do it twice a year. This was their summer school, just completed. But yes, that leads us into our second story, which sort of the big news this weekend was the municipality of Lugano has recovered the stolen Satoshi statue. The statue was made by Satoshi Gallery, which was taken from a city park and found discarded along the nearby waterfront. So we have it here. Yes, the legendary Bitcoin statue of Bitcoin founder, of course, Satoshi Nakamoto. It was originally put in place there in October of last year. And now there are 3 statues. There was one in Lugano, one in Bitcoin Beach in El Salvador, as well as one in Tokyo. And I think they plan to place 21 of these around the world. This was the first one, and it was unveiled to great fanfare last fall. But this weekend, there was a napping. Somebody stole the statue. And if we go over here to this article, so yes, it was stolen on Friday nights. And what happened? There was actually, after it disappeared, the Satoshi Gallery group, they put up a reward of 0.1 Bitcoin, around $11,000, in order to find it. And they said, you can steal our symbol, but you will never be able to steal our souls. Thank you for all the nice messages, they said. But it was found the next day. So if we go back here, we were covering this quite intently over the weekend. And yes, the next day it was found on the waterfront here in Lugano. I believe it was the theory that holds is this. Occam's razor is the following theory by Gritoshi. He says, I was in the park on August 1st at night. It was still there. And then it was Swiss National Day. Many youngsters went drunk on the open hour cafe just beside the statue. And on their way back home, they just had some fun with the statue. Welded by only 2 points that still remain, as you can see in the pics. And so he thinks it was just a bunch of kids who went after it after a drunken night of folly. But there are some other guesses as to who could have gone after this statue, right? Where did it wind up? So yes, I mean, what do you think about the statue? What do you think about Satoshi's legacy and then building statues to Satoshi around the world, and what happened this weekend?
First of all, I've not seen those photos, so that's very funny. I love that. Yeah, because I remember this getting unveiled last year, like the videos coming out of it, and it's really cool. Like, it's very clever the way it's been designed, and I didn't realize that there was going to be 21 as well around the world. That's another nice little touch. But yeah, what confuses me is like this thing. I think you put up a video as well of it getting recovered from the water, and there was like a big crane that was lifting this up, and I was really confused how. Yeah, this was the one. It looks really heavy. How someone or a group of people managed to essentially just break the welding and then carry that to the water baffles me. I don't know. And the other question is, yeah, why would you do it? Maybe they were just drunk and wanted a bit of fun. But if was there deeper meaning? I don't know. I like to think not. Yeah. Because if there's going to be another 20 of them placed around the world, we don't want this happening in different locations. So yeah, it was sad to see, but good that it's been recovered, or at least most of it's been recovered.
Yes, I agree. I mean, well, the question is, do you think if you at the age of 21, you and 4 mates if you were getting absolutely Larry, being a bunch of mad lads, you couldn't rip that off and carry? I mean, that can't be more than a smart car. 5 guys could carry a smart car, right?
Yeah, fair, actually. Very fair. Yeah, it's just yeah. Very confusing.
So, I mean, I guess the question is, was there real animosity about this, or was it just kids messing around, right? Because as we move into the future and Bitcoin price continues to appreciate, the wealth gap continues to grow, more inequality, there is a question, will Bitcoiners be blamed in the future for the economic plight that the rest of the world is in, right? I think it's very easy, especially for politicians, the ones who caused the mess by printing all this money, debasing the currency, stealing purchasing power from people. It'll be very easy for certain politicians, populists, to be able to say, hey, look at those guys over there. They got rich during all of this, during this mass debasement. This is their fault. This is Bitcoin's fault. Do you think that that's something that might happen in the future?
Potentially, unfortunately. And I think there'll be a lot of, those comments that are like, oh, they just got lucky. And all of that. But they don't realize that the work that Bitcoiners have put in to understand how the money works currently, and then how this new form of money works as well. And once you understand that, it's logical. Like, you've got a choice between 2 systems, one that's very broken and one that works very well. So it's an easy choice once you understand it. But I think there will be, unfortunately, because in this new Bitcoinized world, the people that got in early and understood it early, they're going to have more Bitcoin than others that waited. But that's not the whole point of Bitcoin. That's the thing of, like, we're changing the underlying money from fiat to Bitcoin, and in the long run, that is that is a massive shift that we're taking, and I think there will be a period of that time that's like, okay, yeah, maybe Bitcoiners are viewed as bad. I don't want to think that, but there might be. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very easy for certain politicians to blame Bitcoin. You know, I think that day probably is coming. That there will. I mean, we already see it with like Elizabeth Warren, right? Right now, she's saying that it's used for criminals and money launderers, but as Bitcoin grows, we're going to have more influence, as we saw in the last election, right? I mean, Bitcoiners helped get Trump elected. They were the largest group to donate to the Republicans. They really helped a lot when it came to his election effort, as well as Senate races in the Congress. So, yeah, I mean, our influence is growing, and in politics, it's usually a blame game, right? So, it wouldn't surprise me to see Bitcoiners be blamed, but it's our job here as educators, as content creators, to get the word out that this is a free and open playing field, right? It's an open protocol. Everybody, it doesn't discriminate against anyone. And that's one thing that I've been watching a couple of Balaji interviews recently, and he's talking about that, is like, no one in India is saying that Bitcoin discriminates against them, right? Like, it's code. Like, it doesn't discriminate against anyone for what country they're from, their skin color, anything like that. This is a free and open protocol. Everybody is open to join it whenever they want to. It's just a matter of education and teaching yourself why this is a better alternative. But yes.
I
Please.
also think like when it comes to education, education is like so key to knowing what Bitcoin is and actually getting used to it. But I also think it's the way that you communicate that education. I want to say that's just as important as the education itself, because I've seen over the years, lots of people, let's just stick on the political side of things, when you're trying to talk to politicians around Bitcoin, and lots of people, it's being very aggressive, rather than trying to meet them where they are and explain like what Bitcoin actually is, or what they're interested in, what's their role in parliament or government, and actually try and meet people where they are, rather than just going in hot with Bitcoin and 21 million, like going down all of the stuff that people don't really care about. Normal people, let's just say normies, people that don't understand Bitcoin yet. If you come in saying 21 million, there's only 21 million, there only ever will be. That means nothing to them, because they don't even know that the fiat system is infinite. And so what does 21 million mean to them? Nothing. So it's being able to communicate that message in the right way, whoever you're talking to.
Yeah, it's true. You got to meet people where they are, and people want to be met where their points are, right? Like, what is the problem that people are facing across the world? Is that their money is being devalued on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, and it means that they have to work harder. They have less time with their family, and it's a destruction of the way of life as people have known it, and people are looking for a solution. So yeah, you got to see where people are hurting and address that, and show them how Bitcoin can fix that. Whether you're a merchant who needs to take payments from around the world, Bitcoin's a solution there, or you're just an average person who needs to protect their purchasing power, or you're a government who faces a debt crisis, right? And I think it's interesting though, when you talk to governments, I asked this to Samson Mao, I'm like, do you ever bring up the fact that Bitcoin will take away the power of the printing press when you talk to governments? He's like, no. You never go there, right? You can't bring that up, because that's the harsh reality, is that yes, it does take power away from the government and put it back in the hands of the people, because they have an asset that cannot be confiscated, and grows in purchasing power, instead of allows governments to take that purchasing power and put it towards whatever crazy idea they have.
Yeah, so sly roundabout way.
Yes, indeed. And I think a sly roundabout way of communicating Bitcoin is, of course, through memes. So, I mean, the Satoshi statue itself is a meme, right? And so I had this idea. I saw the image of the Satoshi statue in the water with the waves lashing against it, and I had this idea. So, before we move on from this subject, I will play this this one video that I made last night.
Oh my God. I'm back. You maniacs! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
So yeah,
That's very good.
Bitcoin can be fun too, right? And it's up to all of us to try to make it as relatable as possible and connect it to people in ways that they find useful. So make memes, spread the good word, and make people have fun with it too. So yes, that was the big controversy over the weekend, but it seems to have been solved. And now, just to wrap that all up, there is a petition that people in Lugano in Switzerland can sign, and then it will have it'll raise the issue of getting the statue placed back there with proper ways to secure it and make sure that this cannot happen again. So go find that petition. I think Paulo Arduino of Tether posted it, and you can help the cause of getting that statue back up there, one of 21 Satoshi statues around the world. Nice. So yes, while we're here, I'd like to give a shout out to some people who are in the live chat. We've got Pam, we've got Nima, we've got Satwise, we've got McLovin. Thank you so much for tuning in over on YouTube. Very grateful for that. If you're over on YouTube, go press the like button. That helps a lot. If you're on X, repost this, share this around. Really enjoy everybody tuning in, throwing out the comments, and telling us what you think about all of these headlines in Bitcoin. So yes, let us go to one more topic, a new one. Let's hop over to the legal section. Lots of big things happened over in America this last week. So the SEC approves in-kind creation redemption for all spot Bitcoin ETFs, making them more efficient, cheaper, and aligning them with traditional commodity ETFs, such as those backed by gold. So we got this big announcement coming out of the SEC. And what does this mean for Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ETFs? It reduces friction, right? There would be fees because people would have to, if they wanted to transition their Bitcoin into a Bitcoin ETF, they would have to sell the Bitcoin, of course, and then allocate it towards there. And then the market makers, the APs would take a fee in order to create the ETF. So this just makes it much more efficient, cheaper, brings it up into the category that other ETFs have. If you wanted to get some of the GLD ETF, I believe that you could just, if you had gold, you could, you're an institutional player, you could just submit that gold and then get the ETF, right? So this was a big deal, and one of the hangups in the original creation of the Bitcoin ETFs back in January of 2024, the big firms, BlackRock, Fidelity, they wanted this to begin with, but Gary Gensler and the SEC said no. But now we've got this new guy, Paul Atkins, in charge of the SEC, and he is all about it. So, actually have a little video here to explain what this is all about, too, that we can take a quick watch of.
The SEC approved in-kind redemption for all 11 Bitcoin ETFs. Now, this eliminates the friction of tax events for Bitcoin holders who want to use ETFs as a tool in their wealth plan, and it increases accountability for ETF providers since shareholders can now initiate a run on the bank by insisting on receiving actual UTXOs. And this is just the latest example of TradFi regulators and leaders evolving their opinion about Bitcoin. Ray Dalio has gone from suggesting the government might shut it down to now recommending a 15% allocation to Bitcoin. Larry Fink has gone from referring to Bitcoin as an index of money laundering to now calling it digital gold. And then there's Jamie Dimon. Jamie, after years of calling Bitcoin a fraud and a Ponzi scheme and threatening to fire any employee who traded it, JP Morgan has announced they will now offer Bitcoin-backed loans to their customers. But
So yeah, this is a different world. We've really entered it into here in 2025. Bitcoin is being fully integrated into the financial system over here in America. What does this look like from abroad?
We're jealous. No, we, as I said before, like I'm looking into a time machine, and I'm looking a few years ahead of what will come in the UK, because this is a natural step in the evolution of Bitcoin. Of course, it's going to be institutionalized, because people are now waking up to what it is. Bitcoin hasn't changed over the last 16 years. It's the world around it that's changing, and learning about what this thing is. So it's really interesting just watching the evolution of it play out, and the players in that, like, changing their opinions as well. I quite like seeing that, because I see that in my day-to-day life as well. I'm sure lots of people listening in, and yourself, of when you've tried to explain Bitcoin to someone maybe a few years ago, they didn't get it. And now they're like, oh, okay, I'm kind of understanding this now. And we're seeing that with more public figures. Like, he mentioned Ray Dalio there. It's really interesting to see him coming out and saying 15% of your portfolio should be in gold or Bitcoin, I think is what he said. And yeah, this, as I said, I see this as just a natural step for Bitcoin, because we're in that phase of Bitcoin as a store of value. And then I do believe that after this, we will then transition more into Bitcoin as a medium exchange. But I don't know how many years that will take. But I love seeing this, people just learning about it. And yes, there will be people trying to profit from it in the institutional space, and just seeing, oh, we can actually charge extortionate fees on this. We don't actually have to understand it. But then you can see that there is people actually understanding it as well. And I always want to say that people, retail, look up to these institutions as credible figures. A lot of people see them as credible figures. So the likes of JP Morgan, Fidelity, BlackRock. I'm not saying I see them. I'm just saying a lot of people perceive them as being credible figures in the space. And if they're mentioning Bitcoin a lot more and coming out with Bitcoin products, that then drips down into retail, and they're like, oh, okay, this isn't this scary thing that just boils the oceans that I've heard before. Maybe I should start looking into this. So the credibility, or the perceived credibility, that then comes through society from this, I think that's a really good thing, and it really helps adoption as well.
100%. And it doesn't really matter who you are, whether you're Larry Fink or just an average pleb. You need multiple touches to really understand Bitcoin, right? The first time you hear it, you're not going to get it. It needs to pop up multiple times in media, online, hear friends talk about it, and then you get more interested, and then you start down the rabbit hole, and it really clicks for you. Larry Fink called it a index for money laundering, I believe, in the past, and now he's one of the largest proponents of it. And it's just crazy to see, as you said, all these different big figures change their tone and add more legitimacy to this asset that hasn't changed, right? It's the same thing. Bitcoin is the same exact thing that it's been over the last 16 years, but these people are finally realizing, wow, maybe this is in money.
Yeah, and I also want to see something said positive from Jamie Dimon around Bitcoin. I'm waiting for that day. I don't think that day will ever come, but we will see.
Yeah, and I think he's come as far as to say, I still don't like it, but I'm going to let my customers do what they want with their money, right? So it is gradually turning, I guess. But if he's the last one to get Bitcoin, I'm fine with that, right? That's fine with me.
Yeah.
But just you personally, how long did it take for you to first hear about Bitcoin for you to actually get into it and understand it?
A long time. So I was in cryptocurrency first. I took that journey that I think a lot of people did. You're into all of cryptocurrency first, and then you slowly realize, oh, okay, all of these are kind of irrelevant. Why am I looking at these? And then going down to Bitcoin. So it probably took me 3 years to actually understand it, that it was Bitcoin. And then, yeah, it's just, you just don't look back after that. Well, but I hadn't really, I think when you're into cryptocurrency, you clearly haven't done that much research. And I was in that mindset of number go up, and this is just an investment. And I think once you start looking at the bigger picture, I always say The Fourth Turning was the book that actually I had the aha moment for Bitcoin. And it's not a Bitcoin book, but it's all about zooming out and looking at history, patterns, cycles that we go through. And that's what really made me click. And it's just switching from that number go up to, oh, okay, this is actually going to revolutionize the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I agree. It took years, right? I first bought Bitcoin in 2016, lost it, right? But then it wasn't until 2020 that I really got into it, and then devoted my life and my work to it since 2023, right? So it's a journey. Everybody goes at their own pace, but more and more people, from the Larry Finks to us, are learning it and getting into it every single day. But yes, the next story I wanted to bring up in the legal section, it is not all rainbows and dandelions over here in America. Big news last week was Samurai Wallet developers have pleaded guilty to unlicensed money transmission, a significant reversal and a big win for the DOJ. They face fines of hundreds of thousands of dollars and up to 5 years in prison. And part of this plea deal is that they cannot protest any prison sentence at 5 years or less. So yeah, I mean, they were fighting this case, right? And there was 2 cases going on at the same time. We had the Tornado Cash as well as the Samurai Wallet cases going on. And Tornado Cash was first, and Samurai Wallet was going on during this. But before they even got close to the end of it, Samurai Wallet saw what was going on in Tornado Cash and said, okay, we'll take the deal. Pretty tough to swallow for the Bitcoin community, the larger cryptocurrency community in general, and those who are just privacy advocates, right? Privacy is not a crime. You should have the ability to use and spend your Bitcoin without people being able to know exactly how much you have and everything else that you've spent it on. And Samurai Wallet was providing this service. However, they really flaunted the government in many ways with many of their posts, saying that they were willing to help sanctioned Russian oligarchs and all that. And I think those Twitter posts really did not help them in this case. But at the end of the day, this should be about freedom and privacy. And these guys had to make the hard decision in their own best interest, right? And so they pled guilty. And what this really means for developers moving forward, especially those developing privacy tech, this adds a lot of questions, and this helps the government's case that they can crack down on these things. Do you have any insight into this or feelings about the Samurai Wallet case?
I can't say I'm well versed in the case. I've got a lot to say on the freedom and privacy under attack, just being from the UK.
Yeah, please.
But I don't know if you've seen, we just had the Online Safety Act just come in. And that's been a huge thing for the UK. And yeah, it's just the fact that we're now having to upload our ID and like verify our age and all of this, and apparently it's going to third-party organizations, which then that's the scary part as well. Is like, it's not even, I mean, I wouldn't even like it going to the government anyway, but the fact that it's not even going to them, it's going to third-party organizations. And this is work that Bitcoin Policy UK and Freddie and Susie have been really pushing back on. And it's keeping me in the loop and everything that's happening as well. Because yeah, it does need to be pushed back on. There's a lot of controversy over it. The VPN subscriptions, I think, have gone through the roof in the UK. I think they were, at one point, I think there were 6 out of the 10 top downloaded apps on the App Store were VPNs. So yeah, I feel like it's a scary path that the UK is going down, and I hope it does divert and go down a different path at some point. But yeah, it's just a strange living amongst that, of like when your freedom and your privacy is under attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Made a video about this over the weekend, and it's dug into the numbers. And it's really shocking what's going on, right? Because we've got the Online Safety Act in the UK, and you're right. VPN downloads are up 1,400% in the last week, right? So we've got that. You've got to upload your government ID to use, of course, adult websites right now are what they're requesting the IDs for, but to protect children. But it's coming for lots of things, right? Now there's talk of having to upload an ID to use Google Maps in the UK in order to listen to adult content on Spotify. I'm sure some podcasts are under adult content. They're scanning your face. They want a face scan, right? But this is not just the UK. The EU is introducing chat control 2.0. They'll be voting on this in the fall. And with chat control, they'll look at every single photo, message, and I think payment too on your phone. Like they want to look natively on your phone, because once you send it encrypted, they can't get it. But if before it's sent, they can see it on your phone. They want to have that ability. So that is going to be voted on this fall in the EU. And then America too, they just introduced 2 bills, the Screen Act and the Kids Online Safety Act. So those have not been voted on or debated in America, but we've got the EU, UK, and the US all making these moves towards the panopticon, right? The government surveillance grid that is looking at everything you do online more so than they already do, right? Giving them the full, complete cover in order to do this. And the real question is, why now? Why all at once? You cannot coordinate nation states and corporations, the biggest corporations in the world, on this level to make this move all at once, unless this was prepared for long in advance. And the question is, why now?
Yeah, I have no idea why, and I don't know if it's just one seeing the other and thinking that's a good idea, and then the domino effect. And I don't want to make any assumptions. I try and stay fairly neutral on this, but it's the fact that it's happening. That's the scary part, and it's. Actually, as I said, the fourth turning, like the book that got me into Bitcoin, you're kind of seeing, this is what you're seeing, is that we are going through that fourth turning, the destruction, and the breakdown of society, government, and there is a revolution potentially on the horizon. And yeah, I don't want to be too negative around stuff. No, I hate being that. But yeah, it's because I do believe that we are living through actually one of the most exciting times in the world. And this is like, I feel grateful to be able to live through this and like see the birth of Bitcoin and all of this. But then it also does equally mean that we are living through the collapse of the old system.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, when you really look at it, what do we have going on? We have this technology revolution, right? We've got the internet, we've got Bitcoin, we have the ability to communicate across the Atlantic instantly. And this is a great decentralizing power. And the 20th century was all based upon the centralization of power of nation states, like doing World War I, World War II, mobilizing great forces and resources together to go and fight these great battles. But now we have this technology that really allows the individual to go out, start businesses, transact independently on a sovereign level, communicate with the whole entire world, just broadcast from their home like we're doing right now. And it changes the balance of power. So as we see this balance of power change, you see the centralizing forces, the governments, lash out and try to do things like we see here with the Kids Online Safety Act. The question is, it really does seem like they're flailing, right? This doesn't seem like it's something that can really be seen through, because people have gotten a taste of what this new world can be, and they're gonna, hopefully, I mean, that's the idea, that people will stand up and use the technology for the powers of decentralization and the empowerment of the individual. But we'll see, man. It's interesting times. Absolutely.
It is. And like the end goal is to separate money and state.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. You're 100% right. Like, we are moving from that centralized world to that more decentralized sovereign world. And of course, there's going to be fight back. The centralized powers don't want to lose that power. But unfortunately, or fortunately, there's no way of stopping what is happening now. So you can keep fighting back against it, or they can come up with a way of trying to embrace it. And actually, yeah, it will still end up in their a lot smaller government anyway. And yeah, it's just, we are going to see a lot of fight back in many different ways, because we've got the internet and Bitcoin and all of these AI tech, like you got AI as well. That's another thing to be throwing in there. And they just can't keep up. That's the thing, is why they're flailing, because it's such a big machine now, these governments, that there's no efficiency in there. So anything that needs to get done will take a long time. Well, certainly from a UK perspective, that's how I'm speaking.
But yes, the way to stand up and to take power back on an individual level, of course, is to allocate towards Bitcoin. So right now, I would like to give a big shout out to the main sponsor of this show, and that would be Rhino Bitcoin. Really awesome group of people behind this project. They are an all-in-one Bitcoin super app built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. I got it right here on my phone, of course. And what do you do with Rhino? You buy, you sell, and you do it all instantly, right? Bitcoin, it's where you want it, right here, wherever you are. Go out and buy Bitcoin right on your phone. You can send sats anywhere on the Lightning Network. You can withdraw straight to cold storage, and you can even turn sats into gift cards or link it to a Casa multisig, all right here in Rhino. And Rhino is just warming me up. Soon you'll be able to pay your bills, borrow against your Bitcoin, and stack for retirement all within one app. So now go ahead, download Rhino at rhinobitcoin.com or tap the link below in the description. Use code Bitcoin News and Rhino will drop $10 in free Bitcoin into your account today. Secure your stack with Rhino right now. Great app. Use it. And right now they're doing giveaways all the time. They're giving away 1 million sats over the course of July. Today they are having their last drawing for 500,000 sats. That's generational wealth, man. Go over to Rhino, check them out on X, and download the app, get some Bitcoin, and join the sovereign movement. All right, Jordan, let's get you back up here. And yeah, one piece of news I would like to touch on while we talk about the UK here is that, hey, something good happened to you guys. The UK's financial Conduct Authority will lift its 4-year ban on crypto exchange traded notes for retail investors starting October 8th, 2025. Unlike ETFs, CETNs track crypto prices without direct asset ownership. So it can't be all good news, right? In the UK, there has to be still a little bit that doesn't exactly. They're not going to be buying Bitcoin directly, but they'll track the price. So yeah, I mean, this has been a fight for you guys, though, right? You guys have wanted ETFs, and this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, 100%. It's a step in the right direction, is what I would say. And you're right that there's always a caveat with these things, and what it shows to me is like that, because we've not heard very much coming out of the FCA, which is our regulator, and this shows that there is attention getting put on this space. So that's a positive for me and people in the space. And the podcast actually that I'm putting out this week on my podcast is with our ex-regulator for the UK. So he was there for nearly 7 years. And I just kind of dive into what it's like, what process they have to go through. And it's super interesting hearing that, because yeah, they've lifted this ban, but it's an ETN still, not an ETF. So it's not actually, you don't have that underlying asset behind it. So you're taking on that credit risk as well. So there is a little bit of, this is a great step, but it's not exactly what we want. So I know that there's a lot of people in the background still pushing to get this essentially upgraded, or the next step, which is an ETF where they are actually backed by Bitcoin. So you have to get that underlying asset. But don't get me wrong, this is a good first step where the regulator is actually talking about it, which is great. But I would like to see more, and I'd like to see that momentum carry on throughout the coming months and years as well, because yeah, nothing moves fast in the UK, so don't expect anything fast.
I hear you. Yes. And since you guys have not had the ETFs, I think Bitcoin treasury companies have been more attractive to investors, especially who cannot directly invest into Bitcoin, but have to invest in, say, the London Stock Exchange or some other vetted platform, right? So, I mean, you've got multiple Bitcoin treasury companies over in the UK. You've got Smarter Web, you got London Bitcoin Company. What's it? Coincilium? What's the other one?
Coincilium.
Yes, Coincilium. Yeah. So are these the talk of the town in London? Are people interested in Bitcoin treasury companies over there?
Yeah, and they have been for the past 5 years, you know, because we haven't had access to Bitcoin ETFs. We've had a ban on them. We can't get access to them at all, as retail anyway. Professional investors, they can. But so lots of people have been, because we've got tax efficient wrappers here in the UK called Stocks and Shares ISA and Pension One, which is a SIP. People, you can't put your actual Bitcoin in there. So people have then been using those pots to then allocate to Bitcoin proxies. And the main one has been MSTR over the last 5 years. So it's been really interesting watching it play out, because you've got the regulator saying, no, we're not going to give you access to the spot Bitcoin ETF, but you can take on more risk by investing in a company that is holding Bitcoin, which is a very interesting dynamic watching that play out. But of course, that the more risk that they've taken over that 5 years, that's paid off, because it's way outperformed Bitcoin. So it's been super interesting watching that. And now, yeah, Bitcoin treasury companies, I think, not only in the UK now, I think they're the talk of every town, I would say. Everything seems to come back to a Bitcoin treasury company, because they're popping up in every single jurisdiction. We're getting a lot in the UK at the moment. And yeah, it's just looking at what's, and I know that there's some coming down the line as well, but it's just looking at what's their story. Are they actually Bitcoiners? I think that's what people are now looking at, is do these people understand Bitcoin? Do they understand the Bitcoin model, Treasury model? And yeah, who's on board on these Bitcoin companies? Are they actually going to be able to raise capital from the markets? So it's really interesting watching it play out. And I think a lot of people in Bitcoin have had to then learn around what these Bitcoin treasury models are, all the new phrasing, because we've been watching MSTR do it for a long time, and now only is it becoming way more popular. And I think Saylor said himself, he was like surprised that it's taking so long for everyone else to catch on. And he even said it took him way too long to actually start it with MSTR back in the day. So yeah, it's super interesting watching it play out and just learning everything that's involved in investing and watching all of these Bitcoin treasury companies.
Yeah, and we go back to the title of today's show. The big news last week was Strategy had the most important event in the history of the company, right? Their Q2 2025 earnings. They had $14 billion in operating income, $10 billion net, with a $32.60 earnings per share. So the estimate was what this number would be negative. Instead, it came out as over $32, and so that's over 35,000% plus beat when it comes to earnings per share. And I thought a very interesting tidbit to come out of this earnings report was that they pledged not to use the ATM below 2.5 mNAV. So what does this mean? A lot of the shareholders of Strategy have been very upset that Saylor has been just diluting the stock, issuing a lot of MSTR shares in order to raise money to buy more Bitcoin. Of course, the whole entire narrative of Strategy only works if they are buying more Bitcoin. But since over the last 2 years, they have created all these different financial products from convertible notes and now the preferred shares. And they really seem to have hit the sweet spot when it comes to STRC stretch. So this is sort of like a fiat stablecoin. He wants to keep the price at $100 for STRC, and it has a 9% annualized APR, right? So you're making a coupon off of this thing, just holding it, and 9% beats any treasury bond that you could hold. And so he thinks that he just said that he's going to sell $4.2 billion worth of this STRC to buy more Bitcoin. And this allows him to take the foot off the gas when it comes to selling just regular MSTR shares. And because right now the mNAV, the enterprise value of the company is just 1.7x their Bitcoin holdings. And so he says, I'm not going to sell any more MSTR shares until the enterprise value is 2.5x the value of our Bitcoin. So this is some relief for common shareholders of Strategy. And yeah, I mean, it's really amazing to see just this company just come up with new ways to buy Bitcoin, right? And to fill holes in the market and to create this sort of Bitcoin yield curve for investors to get exposure to Bitcoin. As Saylor likes to say, they are taking the raw assets, the raw commodity of Bitcoin, refining it and creating products for different market participants.
Yeah, we're watching a master at work is kind of, and it looks like he's almost taken that do you know the graphic that Jesse Myers made? When you've got Bitcoin 2 trillion asset in a 900 trillion pool, essentially, and just been like, okay, well, let's tap into that one, where you've got like the fixed income bond market, you've got money markets, and it's really interesting watching that play out and tapping into that. But then we're also then seeing all the other treasury companies around the world also bolting this onto their playbook now. So you're seeing Metaplanet starting to look at that. SWC have said that they're starting to look at that on a podcast. They're like, we will look at that at some point. So we will just see this replicated around the world as well, and it makes sense. It's just sucking capital out of these stuck markets. So it's genius.
Yes, Bitcoin is demonetizing the world, right? It's sucking all that monetization out of assets like real estate and bonds, and just soaking all up like the sponge that it is. So yes, that brings us to our hour here, Jordan. Thank you so much for joining us. If people want to find out more about you, the Bitcoin Collective, the policy work you do, where should they go?
Yeah, so well, you can go. I put my Twitter handle there, so JW132, or you can go to our Bitcoin Collective's website, which is bitcoincollective.co. And yeah, if you're watching this and you happen to be in the UK and you run a business, then please reach out to us if you're looking at a Bitcoin strategy, because we can help with that. And if you want to hear more about UK Bitcoin news, then yeah, jump onto our podcast, or we do town halls, we do everything, all the media. Thank you again so much for letting me come on and go through all the news. It was very fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Big shout out to Alberto, Pam, McLovin, Satwise, Nima, Johnny Midas, people over here in the chat on YouTube. Really appreciate you guys chiming in with your thoughts. And yes, this is what we do. We talk about Bitcoin news. We have the newsletter coming out every single Monday, and then we break it down with a different guest at 11 a.m. Eastern. So, Jordan, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we will be in touch. Anybody in the UK, reach out to this man. He's got what you need. All right, Jordan. Thank you very much.